Okay, on number 9, we're looking at solving this quadratic, which remember is just finding values of x that make this statement true. Well, before you factor, you always want to make sure that your quadratic is in standard form, highest exponent down to lowest, and set equal to 0. So all three terms need to be on the same side. Your leading term needs to be positive, so you would never move it over and make your leading term negative. So this one is ready to go. It's in standard form and set equal to 0. So the first thing you want to look for is a GCF. So since our A value is not 1, that we definitely could have the possibility of having a GCF. If you'll look at your smallest number, which in this case is 24, and look at the factors of 24. Start with the biggest and work your way down to the smallest. So 24 does not divide into 30, so I know 24 is not my GCF. The next largest number that divides into 24 evenly is 12. But 12 does not divide into 30 evenly, so I know it's not 12. The next largest number that divides into 24 is 8. 8 does not divide into 30, so 8's not our GCF. The next largest number that divides into 24 is 6. 6 does divide into 30 5 times, and 6 also divides into 36 6 times. So I found my GCF, it's a 6. So I'm going to begin by dividing everything in our quadratic by 6. So 24 divided by 6 is 4, so my leading term is 4x squared. 30 divided by 6 is 5, so 5x is my middle term. And negative 36 divided by 6 is negative 6. And that's still set equal to 0. Now, I don't want to forget my GCF typically, but in this case it really doesn't matter because it doesn't have an x. So since I'm solving, the 6 has nothing to do with my solution. Only x's represent my solution. So remember, if we look at our quadratic to begin with, since our highest exponent is 2, we can only have at most 2 solutions. So our GCF does not have a solution as part of it. So this is the trinomial we're factoring now, and since our A value is not 1, we're going to use the bottoms up method. So our A is 4, our B is 5, and our C is negative 6. So begin by multiplying A times C. 4 times negative 6 gives me negative 24. So I want factors of negative 24 that combine to get my B value of 5. Again, my product is negative, so my signs have to be different. So I have negative 1 and positive 24, 1 and negative 24, negative 2 and positive 12, 2 and negative 12, negative 3 and positive 8, 3 and negative 8, negative 4 and positive 6, 4 and negative 6. Those would be all the numbers that multiply to get negative 24. We're looking for the pair that combines to get B, which is 5. So looking down here, here's my pair that combines to get a positive 5. So I'm going to begin with my factors, my binomial factors, using negative 3, so x minus 3, and positive 8, x plus 8. If you want to bring your GCF down, it's fine to do so. It's just not going to have a bearing on our solution. So remember, don't stop here. You've got to finish the bottoms up method, undoing this multiplication of your A value by dividing by your A, and your A was 4. So you're going to divide both of these factors by 4. Don't forget to simplify. If it'll simplify, simplify. So the 3/4 won't simplify, so that factor is going to remain x minus 3/4. But 8/4 does. 8 divided by 4 is 2. So that factor becomes x plus 2 equals 0. Now if we were only factoring, then remember we would move the bottoms up at this moment. But since we're solving, it's actually easier to see the solution when our x is by itself and it doesn't have a coefficient. So we're going to leave it with this fraction. So again, the 6 has no bearing on my solution because it doesn't have an x. These are my only 2 x's, so they represent my 2 solutions. So remember, what number of x would make this factor 0? Well, if this is a negative 3/4, x has to be the opposite sign. It has to be a positive 3/4. For this factor, if this is positive 2, then x has to be negative 2 for that to be 0. So these are our 2 solutions. X is either 3/4 or negative 2. Again, you could check those if you wanted to go back to your original equation, replace the x's with negative 2 and 3/4, you would get 0 as a result.